sustainability for small cities. Marais is an agricultural area with abundant wind energy. Troy described different energies Marais has taken as it looks to the future. They have attracted research grant and government funding to build a sustainable energy supply and backup storage, established local food sourcing initiative and a cooperative network between county, city, conservation districts, schools, and health providers. We heard all about this at a talk last Sunday. Marais is similar to Ely in size, but we have different resources. Ely attracts visitors and residents because of its location. Ely has a first-class wilderness access and outdoor recreation opportunities, in addition to its learning and arts scenes. We should decide if any of these plans that were developed and used in Marais are appropriate for Ely. We note that a plan enables funding. It's the first part of any proposal. Projects in a well-designed plan have a good chance of being done. They get funded when you go out for external money. Another local example of city planning is Grand Marais. They have a well-developed community vision plan and a climate action plan. Those are easily found on their website. I have put a couple of pages of their vision plan in my request to speak to you. The Community Vision Plan is an overview of the planning process. It's full of beautiful images and generalized words. The climate action plans are detailed numbers and graphs and such like. Now, Ely has a lot more in common with Grand Marais than it does with Marais. Both are in Minnesota's Arrowhead region, similar in size, and both Grand Marais and Ely attract residents and visitors because of their natural beauty. Ely, of course, has a lot of things to brag about too. We have a new library that conforms to the highest energy standards, and a new trail center under construction that will offer the trail recreational opportunities in Ely. And we have infrastructure to brag about. We have the State Theater, the Wolf and the Bear Centers, the college and the schools, the hospitals and the clinic, the folk school, museums. We have many arts organizations, outfitters, restaurants, hotels, winter and summer festivals, trails, and you know all of those things. I don't have to tell you. They're all first rate, they're well supported, they're successful, and we're proud of them. So it's time that Ely updated its own long-term plan. The materials from Grand Marais provide a useful example of how to do this. And I want to read you a small section of that, which I left over here. You can find this on their website. It's called What is the Grand Marais Community Vision Plan? It is a roadmap to the future, a document of community uses and ideas, a collective call to action. The vision, values, priorities, and ideas described in the following pages provide a framework for future planning and serve as a jumping off point for future discussion, brainstorming, and community interest. This vision plan seeks to inspire solutions, initiatives that will uphold the values of Grand Marais community and realize an exciting community-led vision for the future. Each case where I read Grand Marais, I can delete Ely, and the same things apply. They really do work for us. So these people have developed a procedure for making a big long-term vision plan. And this is something that we might want to look at as a model for how we might want to do our own work going into the future. So it says the vision plan represents a wide-angle view of the community, summarizing key assets, challenges, trends, and aspirations across a wide range of issues, impacting quality of life in the community. It's a resource for residents, business, property owners, city staff, and other interesting parties wishing to learn about the community. And there are many, many pages of this, and it's glorious. It has lots and lots of pictures. It's just very convincing. If you're thinking about where you're going to retire when you move from Arizona, and you look at the website, Grand Marais has got a really good come get you in that regard. So I won't read the rest of this to you because you can see it online. Here it is, and I have references to it, so you can go look at that material. But I want to point out that Ely has a lot of things to brag about too, and the new library, of course, is one of them. High energy efficient building, and the new trail center is going to be another one. We've got first-class infrastructure, organizations like the State Theater, the Wolf and the Bear Centers, the college and schools, the hospital and the clinic, the folk school, museums, arts organizations, outfitters, restaurants. You don't need me to go through all of these. Hotels, winter and summer festivals, and all of these are first-rate and well-supported and need to be advertised up to the hilt. We are very proud of these things. So it's time, I think, that Ely updated its long-term plan. Maybe we can take some examples from Grand Marais about how to do this rather than having to reinvent the wheel all over again. Our group, the Ely Climate Group, has shown an awful lot of enthusiasm for thinking about this. These are people who live in Ely, who value Ely, and who think about Ely's future potential. We need to think about what Ely is doing in 10 or 20 years' time in the future. Should we be considering a development, for example, like Ely Kringstad is doing in Tower with his Tower Vision 2025? This is developing housing in many areas, including vacation stays, senior housing, workforce housing, all of which is going to be very energy efficient. Should Ely be developing new light industry of what type? Should we be looking at new rooftop solar, more EV chargers? Maybe yes. More public transformation? Maybe we should be looking at more heat pumps and fewer propane tanks. So my reason for being here today is to say, what are your ideas? We are meeting and we are discussing what our ideas are and where we would like to go. But this has to be a big collaboration with everybody involved. We need aspirational goals, and then we need detailed projects, and we need to go from one or the other. So thank you. I have a little handout with some references in it, and I'm happy to answer questions if you guys have some.
Harold, what's the status of our comprehensive planning process?
Comprehensive plan, you know, is always under review, you know, and every so often we do an update. I think it's required every 5 years. So there hasn't been an extensive rewrite, but always looking at input. I know Park and Rec is looking at updating their section just as far as future planning needs. And I just want to touch on Barb's point, talking of a plan, you know, and having a good plan is how you accomplish goals and complete projects. And that's what we've done with our projects committee, with our utility, with their general fund expenditures, park and recreation, all of those things. So as we incorporate energy efficiency, obviously, as she had mentioned, the library, you know, that's top tier within similar buildings on a state level. Same thing with the trail center will be the same way. And then the projects we do, we do as high an energy efficiency as possible. She spoke of heat pumps. We offer rebates for heat pumps. I just signed one today, a $1,000 rebate on a cold weather heat pump. So there are a lot of things that are going on. And as the comp plan is planning and zoning, park and rec, other committees meet and discuss their sections. You know, there's an opportunity to update that. So, and of course, it always comes back to the council for final approval.
So what you're saying is that the updates are kind of going on a continual basis? And if this group wants to be involved in specific issues, find out which committees or groups are working on it and work directly with them as we sort of roll along on this process.
Yes, we're very happy to work with you, and we think it's an essential thing that we have to work with you on all of these.
Go ahead, Angela.
I sit on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and this is what we're doing. This week, our last meeting is going through the process of updating, the 5-year plan.
Okay,
So,
that's great. Can we help?
Yes, you
How
can.
can we help?
You come, you can sit in on the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
And we love your opinions and concepts, and it'll help us a lot.
Okay, we have a meeting coming up, our own meeting in June. And of course, you are also welcome to come to that, when we'll have a bigger community discussing their ideas.
Paul.
Usually, as we develop a comprehensive plan, there'll be more formal presentation and asking for community input and response and the kinds of things that your documents kind of outline as having community input. I don't see that in the near horizon. Do you have, or Angela?
I would say it would,
I'm sorry.
it would come about not today or soon, but we've started.
Okay.
And so your participation will be appreciated.
If I recall, in the past, there's usually a steering committee that's approved. There's a steering committee. Harold, go ahead.
In 2016, it pretty much was a rewrite of a comprehensive plan, and now it's more of a review and an update. So I don't foresee it being a complete rewrite. I see it just being as a revision as input is collected. Again, Park and Rec is currently looking at it for additional land that they may want to use for future recreation projects, and it needs to be part of the comp plan. So as we look to adding sections, there may be an opportunity to have maybe a bigger group discussion or bigger public input on if the sections to be added to it, but I don't foresee it being a complete rewrite, just revise as we go along. So I'll work with planning and zoning too as to how that would look as we move forward. But it's a living document, like we've discussed many times. Not things in there aren't set in stone forever, because we want it to be able to conform to what the current requirements and standards are. Grand Marais, for example, we worked with the city of Grand Marais on a joint project 10, 12 years ago, a CHP power project, combined heat and power, using a high molecular weight boiler system to do centralized heating and some power generation. At that time, it was not economically feasible. But through that process, you learn what may not work, but other things that may work. So that was a biomass powered plant at that time. So there's a lot of synergy, and a lot of commonality between Grand Marais and Ely, obviously, and it's something I think we can continue to look at. Copying what somebody else does, there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely, yeah. And so thank you very much. And there is a lot of support in the community for looking at some of these new ideas and pushing forward. So I hope that we can find some way of folding it all in together.
Has your group looked at our comprehensive land use plan?
We are starting to look at it and think about what needs to be done, what ought to be done, and what people would like to see done.
So a lot of what you talked about sounds like more like an ad for Ely, which is great. I'm all about ads for Ely, but a lot of what you talked about is in here, I think, in my humble opinion. I mean, to me, it's in here. Maybe it's not the showy part of Ely, or what you said with the pretty words and pretty flowers or whatever, but I feel like it's in here already.
I agree with you completely.
Maybe it's not the way you want it in there, but I think it's in there already.
There are some parts of the Ely website that really...
I'm not talking website, pardon me for interrupting. I'm talking about in our comprehensive land use plan.
Okay,
Not the website. It's a different document.
okay. But to get to the website, there are some parts that do include references where you can find this material, but it does not compare to the way that Grand Marais sells itself.
So those are two different things that you're talking about then. So the comprehensive land use, the comp plan, and the website are two different things. So it'll be interesting to hear what your group says about that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, thank you for your time, and thank you for your group's energy.
Thanks for inviting me.
All right. Committee reports. HPC.
Update, the Ely Memorial High School Video and Oral History Project has been completed. And on June 26th, it has been confirmed that the premiere date for the video as part of the History Night at the Ely Whitten Historical Society. And plans of site to be included in the Ely Area Historic brochure, plans are being finalized with the Minnesota Discovery Center to provide online access for the video and oral transcripts. List of sites to be included in the Ely Area Historic brochure were reviewed. The Tourism Bureau is providing design services for the project, and their services include developing online access to the site materials. And as far as the fundraising for assessment of the Workman murals is underway, Pam and Margaret are creating press releases with initial donors, Rotary, American Legion Auxiliary, to get the word out about the project. That's the update.
Any questions for Angela? Okay.
You're welcome.
Moving on. Projects.
All right. Recommendation from Project Committee to approve the submission of an investigation grant to DEED for the People Project.
Is there support? Support by Jerome. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on. Go ahead, Al.
Yes, we had a budget committee meeting yesterday, and out of there, we have a recommendation from the budget committee to approve the purchases from EATI for $22,401.34, Motorola Solutions for $6,433.20, and SHI for $3,073.65 to outfit the new police squad, and that's a motion.
Is there support? Support by Paul. Discussion. Any discussion? Okay.
Can you explain what those are?
Please
Sure.
speak. Here, do you want to ask?
Chief got it, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bunch of stuff. Majority of the EATI one, that's the people that outfit our squad. They put the lights, a lot of that is new lights, wiring, things you don't really see. Taking the basic seat that's in the back out and putting a new cage in. I will have you note that the prices increased over the last 3 years. I assume inflation is the reason. They stressed that COVID hit them hard as well, so some additional fees were added on as well for the business aspect of it. Normally, when we replace a squad, a lot of times we take majority of the equipment out of the previous squad, if we're able to, if it's still good, and transfer it to the new one. Dodge is, you're a Dodge guy, right? Yeah. Dodge is not making the Charger anymore, or Challenger. And at this point, it sounds like they might be doing an electric one in the future, but now there's not another car that we can put that majority of that equipment in. So we're transitioning to the SUV models, which are the primary squad cars that you're seeing on the roads today. My hope is to stick with this. Hopefully they don't keep changing body styles and we can reuse as much of this equipment as we can in the future. There's one bigger ticket item in here, which is the radar system. That's about $3,500 in that quote. We are going to be replacing the current one that's in our Charger. That will be going into our new truck replacement in the near future, but we'll be putting a new one in this car. We actually already had to send that one to be refurbished, so it's time for replacement regardless. Another thing is, we move on to the second quote from Motorola. We're replacing a new radio, and one of the main requirements for this is to become compliant with the FBI with some of the data that is broadcast over our scanners. I mean, in the scanner world, everyone wants to hear what's going on, but unfortunately there's information that is private, that because of that we have to become fully encrypted within the next so many years. And at some point within the next 2 to 4 years, the St. Louis County radio shop will be switching a switch, and these radios won't be working anymore for law enforcement. This is not what's happening with the fire department at this time, and this is what I'm aware of. So as we replace a squad, we're making the determination that it's time now to buy that new radio. We are looking at grants for our portables and for the other squads at this time, but we won't have a grant available in order to pay for that at this point. And the last one is the computer. Law enforcement's changed in the last 100 years. We've gone from, I was looking at some of the pictures earlier, the officers standing on the front of City Hall here, to radios, to everyone having a car, to computers in the car, cameras, now to body cams. I mean, we're just getting it, and drones now. Drones are becoming popular. It'll be a few years before I ask for one of those. But so that's one of the big ticket items is the computer. The current one that we're replacing is about 6 years old, and that's about the life time for a computer in a squad car. It goes through a lot of elements. Warm weather in the summer in a car, cold weather in the winter, a lot of use. So I would say 6 years is a decent replacement for a computer. And another reason we're replacing it from a tablet to a Dell computer, we will be switching our software program in the next few years to a different program called Tyler. And St. Louis County computer shop kind of does our work on our computers and our squads. They get them set up, so when there's a call that comes across 911, it goes to our computer. If we're going to stay on with the St. Louis County Sheriff's Department with them doing that, we need to get on the same schedule with their kind of equipment, and they're going to these Dells. I will note that this Dell is actually cheaper than what we're currently using in our squad cars or our tablets. So in the long run, it's actually saving us a little money as well.
I just wanted to add that part of the reason it is what it is because we did win the graphics with our last squad.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that.
So that actually was free. There was an online contest 2 years ago when we outfitted our last car, and thanks to the citizens of Ely for voting for best looking squad car.
And if you look at the totality of the amount of money we're spending on this equipment, $725 is what we paid for the graphics 3 years ago. I'm assuming that was up now. To get that for free, it's nice. So it's not as big of a number, but it definitely helps our community.
A little bit helps. Go ahead.
I like your forward thinking on the communications and when those upgrades will be needed and getting ahead of the ball on that. Do you foresee any type of technological changes in regards to that computer and making it compatible for future upgrades where to prevent having to replace that equipment sooner?
The current tablet that we're using, the current computer or the radio, I guess?
The proposed Dell.
Yeah. By the time we take delivery on our car, the dealership did call a couple weeks ago and said that a build date is sometime in June. So I anticipate probably an August delivery. By the time we get it scheduled and outfitted, realistically, this car will be on the road until maybe November, December at the earliest. So we're going to be ended up using this, the current tablet, basically another 6 to 8 months. And it is our oldest one that we're using. And when we do take that out of commission, it's nice to have a backup because it's still functioning. So if one other tablet does malfunction, we can pull that one back out and reuse it. We don't need to pay for the additional licenses. Right now we have 3 computers. We don't need to have a 4th because that's additional money that costs from the county. So we would just put that one away, and in the event that we need it, one breaks, we can pull it back out and then add it back to the squad car. If that answers your question.
It's good enough.
Okay.
Anything else? All those in favor? Opposed?
We have a recommendation from the Budget Committee to direct city staff to come up with a strategy and cost to implement the use of body cameras and squad cameras. And that is a motion.
There's support. Support by Jerome. Discussion. Any discussion? Go ahead. We'll start with Paul and then go to Jerome.
We had an interesting discussion in Budget Committee, and Chief Hood was clarifying the need to improve or to use body cameras, or they have priority over the squad cameras. So we're moving in that direction. I don't know if you want to comment on that. But.
Jerome, did you have a discussion?
Yeah, some of that question.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so in the minutes I see that it's recommended for body cams and squad cameras. I am in favor of getting both. I will say it is going to be a big chunk of money that the community is going to be contributing. So I do think at this point we pick one or the other. There's not a mandate at all yet. It will be coming in the future. And I do think for the type of calls we do in a rural community, we're not like the highway patrol. We're not doing continuous just traffic where we need the cameras and the squads. I will say they do help officers a lot with transparency alone. Just for the traffic stop, or when you have somebody in the back of your squad car, it keeps everything transparent and allegations can be made, or just how injuries happen. I mean, we see and hear it all, so it's good to have. But I would say in our community, a body cam would be more of a better situation because we spend a lot more time out of our vehicles, whether it's going inside a residence for a domestic disturbance or going into the school for a sporting event, and then all of a sudden someone comes up and talks to you and asks you a question about something that serious took place, so you would activate it. There's a lot of times that these things happen when you're outside your squad car. So I think to start, I would prefer to go with the body cams. I do think I am in favor of both, but like I said, it is a big chunk of money to get going. And when we start this process, we do have to open the public hearing before we even purchase these items. And then also we have to open it for public comment when we establish a policy on body cams. So will be something that I won't be able to answer all your questions tonight because I'm just looking at some of the state statute wording right now. But as we proceed, I'm hoping to answer every question we can, and then the public's concerns or questions as well.
Is there a federal program that gives smaller communities money for body cameras or for cameras in a car or whatever?
There is a variety of grants available. We are actually looking for them currently, in regards to the radio, going back to the radios. Assistant Chief Mike Lorenz is looking into a radio replacement grant where the city would still have to match 5%, but there's a chance to get up to $40,000, which I'll tell you right now is not enough to cover our 8 portable radios. And this isn't even talking about the fire department's radio equipment, which is probably about 15 to 16 years old as well, with a shelf life of 10 years. So this is something that, if we're looking at grants, we're definitely not only looking for our department, but we're looking for the fire department. We also did get $143,000 in public safety aid, which can be used for equipment such as this. We are obviously using it for a variety of things, from recruitment and retention, the radar sign by the school. We did some other emergency management items, our GIS program. We still have a decent amount of money that we can utilize for that. We have some forfeiture money that we have saved over the years that we can look at using that. Grant money is available, but sometimes grant money comes with the cash. And just because someone's handing out the money, we want to make sure that it's good for the city of Ely and its residents before we accept that. But we will look into all aspects before we make these purchases.
Yeah, I wanted to add that, you know, the motion here is to develop a plan as to what the city would like to do moving forward. Looking into the potential of grants, what's available, what we want to spend, and what we want to achieve with that. There's all kinds of options out there, as the chief has mentioned, and we just want to make sure that we're heading down the right direction. So right now, we're asking staff to come up with the plan that we can put forth, and then so we're basically getting the ball rolling. At this point, we're not allocating any money, but it is actually saying that we're
getting ready to hear it.
yeah, we're feeling that this is the direction we want to go, and that's really what this is about. And knowing that it's likely going to eventually become a mandate that we're going to have to go that way anyway. So let's get our plan together, and that's what we're proposing.
And I think this is an important step I think it's an additional layer of safety for not just our police officers, but also for the public. I think we're at that point. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you for the good discussion.
So we have a recommendation from the Budget Committee to approve the purchase from Christeel truck equipment for $168,697. The parts quoted to outfit the new dump truck, and that is a motion.
Is there support? Support by Ryan. Any discussion? Any discussion? Go ahead.
I will just say that, like every other piece of equipment in that, we're seeing increases in costs that are just spiraling out of control. But I'm, you know, if you don't commit now, it might be double by the time we actually get the truck.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Mayor, if I could just comment on
Yes,
that.
oh,
I
please,
think,
I'm sorry.
It's, all of these things that come through, everything's an increased cost, and we just sort of put everybody on notice now. The budget process going forward through the summer and the fall, there'll be a lot of pressure,
Agreed. All right. Next up,
Oh, did we?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Vote aye if you want. Opposed?
Oh, okay.
You did.
Oh, so usually the discussion,
Yeah, I know. I jumped the gun on the vote.
recommendation from the Budget Committee to direct city staff to work with the league softball and youth leagues utilizing city fields on agreement concerning property use and maintenance expectations. And that is a motion.
Is there support? Support by Angela. Any discussion? Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, I'll add to this a little bit, knowing that, so the softball fields, little league fields, and girls softball fields are all on city property. And, you know, the city provides these fields for the recreation of our citizens and neighboring township citizens. I do feel personally that it's important that the participants in these leagues contribute to the upkeep and maintenance of these facilities. That is how the leagues, I feel, should be operated. That the cost is there for them, but so we need an agreement with each of these leagues to provide this service. You know, we are providing the property for this to take place, but we do need everybody to contribute properly for the recreation they partake in.
Jerome?
I've been running softball for probably 29 years or so, but we have, and we pay for the insurance down there and all that stuff on the softball fields, and they've been doing the upkeep on the softball field and everything, and I have no problem with it. This is fine, we gotta all get together and work together, but what we're gonna have to do is figure out when girls have their games and stuff, because we have our games Monday night, we're gonna have to figure out when we can get a schedule so everybody can use the fields.
I think part of the challenge is this has been an ongoing issue for as long as I can remember. The shift in leadership from year to year, so I think this will help with the shift of leadership from year to year. I'm talking about the other two.
Yeah.
So the shift of leadership, so we know. So Carol can sleep at night when it comes to this time of year. Or whoever is in your All right, go ahead.
So discussions with Little League took place in the Parks and Recreation meeting, and the past two meetings, as a matter of fact. At the meeting yesterday, we visited the Little League fields, and they pointed out some of the costs of running that operation down there between the concessions and the buildings, the grass, the scoreboard, the track, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on. But I'm looking at this and I'm wondering, so this is going through budget. Is it coming back to Parks and Rec for review on how this will be structured in this agreement?
Dr. Carol. Carol, go ahead.
Yeah, as we discussed last night at both budget and Park and Rec committee meeting, the plan is to meet up with the groups, discuss expectations as to what everyone expects. As Paula just mentioned, the budget's coming up. We're going to have a lot of discussions. All costs are escalating for everybody. I know for some groups they're seeing increase in participation, and in others a dramatic decrease in participation. So at the end of the day, how do we ensure that the fields are available and that they're maintained to a standard that those participating expect? So meeting with those groups and then coming up with a lease. We have a lease with League Softball that goes back to 1982 that defined who is responsible for what. The league's responsible for all the maintenance on those fields. As I said, there's declining participation in some of these, so it's difficult to keep everything at a standard that it once was with less participation and less funding. So that's where we want to work as a group and come up with solutions to make sure that going forward it's known. To get requests for funding on April for that season is difficult when the budget's been set, obviously 8-9 months previous. So definitely it'll come back to both Park and Rec and the budget because there's going to be impacts for both. But right now we're in the midst of it. All the groups are playing. The fields look good. I think everybody that has seen Little League field and the girls softball field especially, they're in good shape right now. But we want to make sure of that going into the future. So.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
We have a recommendation from the Budget Committee to approve the purchase of the mailbox cluster as quoted from mailboxes.com for $2,565 if necessary. And that's a motion.
Is there support? Supported by Adam. And?
I will point out, I did add the if necessary on the end because it appears as if Councilmember Bisbee may have a inside track on potentially getting something for much less cost. So hopefully that works out, but we did yesterday approve that budget to purchase this, and this will be required You know, for the Sibley areas, the postal service will not add new individual boxes.
Angela?
I have a question. Where are these boxes? Where are you putting these boxes?
They'd be at the entrance to the Sibley Court Drive. There would not be an individual mailbox at each property. There'd be a centralized mailbox system like you see in other new developments around town. I think maybe the townhouses may have mail systems such as this. And developments in the future require a centralized mailbox system like this.
Go ahead, Al.
And it is a postal service standard now.
Correct.
That they wouldn't add individual mailboxes for these properties.
Yeah, I can speak to that.
Go ahead, Ed.
If the box cluster exists prior to the upgrade, then the responsibility falls on the owners of the units, of the houses. If it's being added as a new location, then it's the responsibility of us in this case.
All those, any other questions? Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
And finally, we have a recommendation from the Budget Committee to approve the purchase of barricades as quoted for $3,386 from locators and supplies. That is the motion.
Is there support? Support by Ryan. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I have one more addition to HPC
Oh,
I overlooked.
Okay.
And Jim B. shared that the miners' dry electrical services are being upgraded to improve event space in public areas. So that's one more addition to HPC. Thank you.
Departmental reports. Excuse me. Harold? You have anything?
Nope.
Fire chief?
All right, just a couple quick things. Since the last time we met, Ely Fire has responded to 4 fire calls and 8 medicals. As Chief Wood mentioned, one of those calls was a small grass fire as well. And the only other report I have is I have for police report. We're in the process of hiring 4 new applicants, interviewing 4 applicants. We completed the written test portion last night. Tomorrow night we'll be doing the physical test portion, probably next week. We'll go out and interview, and after that, I expect to be bringing some of those applicants to you for a recommendation to hire as part of the Ely Fire Department. So we do have a little bit of a hiring process that we're undergoing right now. That's all I have.
Okay. Any questions? Fire chief? Library director?
Well, of course, I want to tell you about the great things we've got coming up to the library. Friday this week, May 24th at 3 p.m., we will be having one of our library scientists program. This will be for grades 4 through 6. We do want kids to register in advance for this. And we are doing a project with water pollution, specifically demonstrating how once you get one liquid in another liquid, how hard it is to separate the two. So if the weather is at all decent, it will be done outside and prepared for them to be very wet at the end of it. On Monday the 27th, we will be closed for Memorial Day. Starting Thursday on May 30th at 3 p.m., we will be having another one of our online trivia contests. So this Kahoot will be about Peter Pan and Pippi Longstockings, if you've read those 2 classic kids books. And that will run between the 30th and then June 4th at 8 a.m. So sign up for that if you want to do that online. We've got some fun prizes for it. And Monday, on June 3rd, summer reading starts at the library. We do have a program for every age. We always try to include everybody. So if you are the tiniest of tinies up through entering grade 5, we have a brand new program worked out this year, which parents will be very glad to hear, or grandparents, or whoever is the caregiver, that does not require you to track time or titles at all. We have heard very much from people in the school system that the kids at the end of the year, or the parents, are very tired of keeping track of those steps. And so we are structuring the summer reading program for that age level a little differently this year. And we are simply going to be asking kids when they come in if they have read that day, and if they haven't, we're going to encourage them to go over and sit down and read in the library for a little bit to get their name into a drawing. And then draw every week for some great prize books for them. And hopefully that will encourage them to read as well as have some fun. And the program for the middle school this year will be formed as sort of a game board that they have to work their way through. Just as a heads up for the council, one of the squares on the game board does ask them to get the signature of a city council member. So if a middle school age kid comes up and asks for your signature, that is possibly why. You can sign it on anything that they have as far as pieces of paper. We're fine with whatever you want to sign. And then, of course, for senior high students and adults, we have our adult summer reading program where you can set your own goal, and at the end of the summer we get together and talk about what we've read and have some fun. Also in the prizes. So, if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them too.
Any questions?
Right?
Practice your signatures, people. I want to see some nice penmanship. All right, please, Judy.
Yeah, not much tonight. Just wanted to address a couple things now that it's almost summertime, I believe. Next week's the last
May
week's.
30th is
May.
the last day of school.
Yeah.
Not that I'm counting.
With that, our kids are going to be out enjoying the summer and having fun, which I'm encouraging. I will note that over the last weekend, we did have some vandalism in our local park. So I would like to take the time to have parents talk to their kids. You know, we want you to go out there, enjoy our parks, our facilities, our beaches. But when you're using our facilities or in our park, be respectful of them. Don't make a mess, don't destroy anything. We all remember when we were younger, everyone gets into a little mischief, but when it crosses the line to damaging property, costing the city up to $400 to replace items and labor, that's where it's an issue. So I would suggest, I'm gonna have to talk with my kids. I would hope that all parents talk to their kids as well. As summer's for freedom and having fun, getting away from those mean teachers. But just have a talk and just be aware that even if they say they're going to the park, sometimes they can do some things that they shouldn't be doing at the park. So, and I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions? Go down.
I'm going to have to say that the chief was much nicer about this than I'm going to be, because I'm absolutely appalled at what I've seen around here. One of the things that I noticed yesterday morning was I had, two of the public works staff that should have been out filling potholes. They had the unit ready to go and do it, but they couldn't because they were busy cleaning up after some pigs that had defecated on trash can lids down by the rec center. And it's not just money that it's costing us, but time and convenience of having a decent city to live in. And there's all talk about the comp plan and things like this to make our community better, but we have to do better than this. There's no reason for it. You're not only ruining one thing, but you're preventing other things from getting fixed, and our public works staff from doing what they should be doing. And it's pretty appalling.
So if you see something, everyone has a cell phone. They can dial 911.
And don't be hesitant to dial 911. Even if it turns out to be nothing, I'd rather have my officers go talk to these kids, whether it be kids or even adults. We have had vandalism that I know is not our kids or teenagers. It's adults that do damage to our bathrooms and a variety of other things. If you're seeing things, do call us. Worst case, we'll send someone down. We can investigate what's going on. Like Al said, some of the stuff is appalling. And I will say that I have been in contact with some of the families of these individuals, and we are having a conversation about what was done.
Carol, what do you want to add?
Just wanted to add one thing. Learned over the weekend that a bag full of dirty diapers were left at the recycling center. Your fire chief was kind enough to take those when he was recycling properly, and he brought them and disposed of them where they needed to go. So this is just one of those reoccurring issues, and I stand with Al with some of the frustration with what we end up dealing with, because he's 100% correct. That's what ends up happening. Last summer we got dumped on at the recycling center on a pretty regular basis. Amazon packaging, many times as we shared last year, they left their address on it. So we did deliver it back to them, but again, that takes time away from public works staff and what they have to do. We have a small crew. We have less than we've had in the past. This summer we'll have less summer workers. So when time is spent cleaning up these types of messes, it takes away from the work that we really want them to do, and the other improvements we're trying to make on streets and parks and all the rest of the great things people expect. So I just, as you said, if you see something, call somebody. If you see a mess, call us. We'll come clean it up as soon as possible, because that is not acceptable, and that's not what we want to see from our residents. Don't want to see it, and people coming to Ely to spend their hard-earned money on vacation certainly don't want to see it.
And I will note, the police department does assist the public works with locking the bathrooms and unlocking them on the weekends. Sometimes we are busy, we have other calls that they might not be open. Feel free to call our office or give us a reminder for whatever reason. We'll get down there when we can. But there also might be a reason why that bathroom is locked eventually. If some of this activity continues, the city might just lock that bathroom because it is costing the city a lot of money to clean. And it usually happens every year, but I would say this is kind of an early start and probably the worst I've seen in a while. So.
All right, we've all been warned. Call 911. This is not acceptable. Unacceptable behavior. Okay. Moving on, city attorney is not here, but we are still going to move ahead with her business. Mortgage satisfaction for Madeline Reese and Kathleen Quigley, recorded as document number 1058697.0 on July 12th. Note and mortgage for the residential rehab loan for Kathy Quigley and Madeline Reese for $10,025.78 at 1139 East Washington Street to install a moisture barrier on the basement. Any motion? Moved by Brian, supported by Jerome. Do I need two motions or one? One. All right. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right. First reading ordinance number 377, an ordinance of the City of Ely, Minnesota, adding to the Ely City Code, Chapter 20, Section 20.1.30, entitled Zoning Map Amendment. All right. And this has to do with, all right. Moved by Paul,
I move the ordinance as presented.
supported by Al. Discussion. Any discussion? Go ahead.
So this is changing something from industrial to commercial?
Correct. This is the depot site.
You couldn't tell from the description. I was hoping Heidi would read the entire.
Do you want me to read? I don't need, yeah, there's a lot of numbers, Any other discussion? Seeing none, Casey, call the roll.
Councilmember Elforson? Paul Hess?
Yes.
Jerome Belt?
Yes.
Ryan Kelly?
Yes.
Angela Campbell?
Yes.
Adam Lucy?
Yes.
And Mayor Overson?
Yes. Ordinance passes. The first reading. Unanimously. All right, moving that on, we need to schedule a public hearing. June 4th, 2024, 5:15. So moved by Angela, supported by Adam. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have our public hearing. All right, city engineer doesn't need to be here. Next up, communications from, for, that's housing summit, building and development summit. Excuse me. Looks like a very hearty agenda, which is tomorrow. So if you make it, looks good.
John,
Good. Okay, moving on for claim to payment. How do you want to handle this? Al?
I move approval of claims for payment A through F.
Thank you. Support by Brian. Any discussion? Any questions? Any discussion or questions on the agenda? Go ahead.
So I was looking at the Burnside Ridge Trail Association road dues at $300. It was explained to me by Harold that these dues are for the pump house?
correct. This is where the pump house is located. It's actually on Burnside Ridge Road and then down Reed Road. Pump house was built out there in 1932. We also contribute materials, labor, equipment time in maintaining this road. If you read through their minutes, they're looking at making a significant increase in the road dues. They've lost their maintenance man that's been doing it for many years. They're having to go out for bids for new maintenance, which is going to increase the cost. So unfortunately, I'm not available to go to their road association meeting, which is typically on a Saturday on a nice day in the summer. But we'll continue to work with them. Obviously, access to our pump house is important to the city. That's our water supply. So, but that is why we pay road association dues.
So, if I could continue and then Paul. So if we're contributing to the maintenance of those roads, are we able to provide the services that they're seeking bids for?
Not at that level. That would be snow plowing. That would be, we do this at our leisure, when we have time and available equipment, if we're not doing other more pressing needs. As we had discussed earlier, is when we haul the gravel out there, provide some grading, and then in the winter widen the road with our loader or motor grader. So yeah, we help out where we can.
Go ahead, Paul.
Do we get credit for any of that?
We get a thank you.
Okay, thanks. I thought it might help offset the dues. I think it's needed. Thank you.
All right. New business. We have no old business. Moving on to new business. Resolution. Oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I guess we do need to pay bills. Bills are now paid. We have no old business, new business. Resolution 2024-23, resolution authorizing application for the Ely Blue Line Club to apply for a raffle. Moved by Joan, supported by Angela. Any discussion? Seeing none. Casey, please call the roll.
Councilmember Al Porson,
Yes.
Paul Kess.
Yes.
Joe Rivels.
Yes.
Ryan Kelly.
Yes.
Angela Campbell.
Yes.
Adam Bisbee.
Yes.
And Mayor Olbersen.
Yes, resolution passes unanimously. Consider the temporary liquor license for the Ely Fire Relief Association for June 29th, 2024 in Whiteside Park, July 6th, 2024 in Whiteside Park, and July 26th through 28th, 2024 in Whiteside Park. Moved by Al, supported by Adam. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And exclusive rights to sell for Keller Williams Classic Realty Northwest for East Spalding. First edition, Lot 6, Block 4, contract starts May 31st, 2024 and ends on May 31st, 2025. Moved by Jerome, supported by Angela. Discussion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Do we have any other business to discuss this evening? No open forum? All right. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you all.